What I realized is the reason that we should be going to church is to get control of our lives, to find out how to get control, to overcome that conflict. We're not supposed to be going to church to learn how to name it and claim it. It's not about using the scriptures to have more faith to get what you want in the material world. I also have people ask me, how is it that when they're thinking about themselves, they say, I go to church all the time, I pray all the time. My friends don't go to church, and yet they're doing better than I do when it comes to material things. They have great jobs, they live in fine communities, they have families and all that kind of stuff. And I said to them that, well, anybody can get that if you work hard and buy stuff. It really is a law of reciprocity. What you put out, you get back. If you work hard, buy stuff, you're going to have stuff. And even the devil children can get that. And so that shouldn't be an issue. That's not why we should be going to church. And what I realized is that this is a high percentage, but 99.999.9 99 of people don't have love. That's what the primary problem is, that you don't have love. And Christ absolutely came so that we can have love. And love is something else. But what you're looking for is love. And 99.99% don't have love. How many of you think that number is over-exaggerated? As a matter of fact, the last church I went to, I was a member of, I went to that church because I thought that this particular preacher was really on it. I thought he was going to help me overcome that. But you get into that church, it's just name and claim it. And they use, Jesus said, whatever you ask, you shall get it. And they wear that thin. And so you walk around asking, but that's not what you're supposed to be doing. It's really not. If you had real love, you would never have to ask. Every blue moon, you have to remind them, you see what I need. That's about it. But if you had real love, you never have to ask. If you had real love, true love, you would never have fear.
That's right.
If you had real love, you would never have doubt. You would never have anger. You would never ever feel unloved. You would never try to get love from someone else. You wouldn't spoil your kids. You wouldn't be afraid to let your kids feel some pain. You wouldn't be afraid to make them work as they are growing up, earning their way, if you had real love. Really, if you had real love, the world can never get to you. You will always there's a little space between you and the world. And that means your kids and everything. If you had real love, you will never judge your fellow man. It's impossible. You would never have doubt if you had real love. Now, am I right about this 99.999.9? You still think I'm exaggerating that premise? A little bit more. Really. If you had real love, you could not have those things in your life. It would be impossible.
So you say you have real love, you have no health problems, is what you say.
No.
Yeah, that's a very good question. If you have real love at an early age in life, let's say that,
Forget it.
and I'm going to explain what I mean by it. Let's say that you were born into a home where your father and mother had real love. And then, you know how when you're a kid, you have that love? You don't hold on to things are not that serious. And then if your parents had that, they would be teaching you how to eat right. By example, they would teach you how to live right. They would teach you never to judge, never to hate. And because you grow up that way, you're less likely to destroy your body, your physical self. You can live longer because you're healthier. It's when you don't have the real love that you're into all the wrong things trying to escape the conflict you have to make yourself feel like you have love. So yeah, you can be healthy. It's a lack of love that causes us to be unhealthy. Because when we don't have it, we try to fulfill ourselves with everything else to make us feel love.
So that guy that's obese and he's alcoholic and he lives to be 90 years old, he had real love, huh?
No. Not if he's obese and carried on. He just survived. It's not like that. I mean, with a sound mind, healthy body, and a strong spirit, which is love. Really. But because we, I heard someone say, and because I can't mention politicians here in the church service, that fat people are unhealthy because they eat the wrong kind of food. And let me see, how did they put it? They are fat because they eat the wrong kind of food, and it brings on all type of diseases to the body. That is true. But they are fat because they're unhappy because they don't have real love. That's why they're eating like that. I remember growing up, I honestly, now I may come back one day and say, oh yeah, I remember going to a doctor once. But when I was growing up, I don't remember going to a doctor. I didn't have a doctor.
No, we couldn't afford it.
That's why we didn't have one. I didn't think we needed it because we didn't get sick.
Well,
if we got sick, we made our own home remedies.
Stuff.
Yeah. So it wasn't that we couldn't afford it necessarily. My grandmother lived to be probably 90-something years old. And while I don't ever remember her going to a doctor, she was never fat. She was strong and healthy. And I don't ever remember her having a doctor until she moved to Indiana. Her kids, we all left Alabama, so she had to move to live with her kids. And she moved out of her environment that she liked being in, being able to plant a little garden in the backyard in Alabama and just kind of grow her own food. She moved to Indiana to live with her kids because she couldn't take care of herself down there anymore. And that's when she started getting sick. Prior to that, I do not remember her being sick growing up. Isn't that amazing? Mm-hmm. No doctor. Can you imagine growing up with no doctor? No medication. And if we got sick, they made little home remedy, Turpentine and whatever they made up. Remember that stuff tastes so nasty. And castor oil. Mama, I have a cold. Okay, take a spoonful of castor oil and it's over the next day.
But people ate better back then.
Yeah, they ate better.
That's right.
But they also,
And they worked.
their character was better too.
Ripping and running.
But my point is, if you don't have love, then you're into all the things that you're into. And 99.9% of people don't have love. And I'm talking about most people, but especially Christians. It's hard to find a Christian with love. I challenge you to go out and find a Christian who has real love. And if you sit here right now, and by the way, you can call me at 800-411-BOND, 800-411-2663. If you know somebody with love other than me. It's such a sad commentary because people are suffering not because of anything else except the lack of love. They know the Bible, they hoop and holler, they have babies, they raise children, they may make fine money and live in great communities, but they don't have love. It's all around us. It's so apparent. The missing ingredient is love. And that's why Christ came, because God wanted to create love. He is love.
That's right.
And he wanted to create love, so he came so he could work through us to create love. Why do you think he said love your enemy? Most people don't even love their children. How in the world are you going to love your enemy? Most people don't love their wives or husbands. The black people don't love white people. Is that your cell phone?
Yeah, it's cameraman.
You're jamming on your phone. If you had love, you would never make a decision. If you had love. So I'm not going to ask a show of hand again. You just think about it. When you feel conflict in your life, when you feel fear and doubt and worry and that emptiness that you get, this anger that you get toward yourself and others, when you are trying to get all you can get to make yourself feel important, when you can't sleep at night, or when you're in bad relationships, when your kids out of control, you have no love. So don't tell yourself you have love. Patrick asked, what is the beginning of love? The beginning of getting love is to be honest with yourself that you don't have it. And so I'm telling you that the clues that you don't have it are these things that you're feeling and going through. That's the evidence that you don't have it. So don't be mad at yourself about it. It's enough to just see it, and then God will change it. You cannot change it. He just wants you to recognize, but we've been so brainwashed to believe that all the stuff we're feeling is due to love. You know, you're treating me this way because I love you. That's not true. So I'm telling you this so you would, and it's all in the Bible. The man just read it right here in the scripture.
That's right.
He just read it.
Right on.
And love is not a feeling, but yet it has great compassion for others. The compassion is so great that it never judges its fellow man, whether it's a husband, wife, children, your enemy. That's how compassionate love is. Can you imagine? Now, that doesn't mean you don't tell the truth about situations or deal with situations, but can you imagine living a life without having to judge your fellow man or yourself? We can have peace on earth just like that.
Yes.
Because every time the devil raises his ugly head, you would deal with it in the right way. But you need love. There's no love. And this is what the church is supposed to be teaching.
Yes,
Instead, they're just preaching the Bible to you, naming and claiming if you want this or that. God is great, and he's going to give you all your little needs. Don't worry about that part. Your primary is to seek first the kingdom of God, his right way, and all to be added. And the solution to it is that you got to recognize that you don't have it. You got to sit still and know God. Don't try to get it on your own because you can't create love. It's created through you. You just have to recognize that you don't have it. If you have fear, doubt, worry, insecurity, your kids hate you, your mama hates you, your dad hates you, it's because you have no love. Get a copy of my Be Still and Know prayer CD and start out with that, all right? Thank you for tuning in, and thank you guys too.